Welcome to another episode of Stud and Dud presented by the Dallas School of Music. I'm Josh Smith. With me each week, Dr. Bob Lawrence. How you doing, Doc?
Josh, I'm doing great.
I know you're super stoked for today.
Dude, I'm...
Two beautiful Fridays in a row, by the way.
Not
a cloud in the sky.
I'm almost speechless today because I'm so excited about this show.
Well, let's...
Bob is speechless.
Right?
Write that down.
Yeah, exactly. Well... We definitely on tap today. We have some good things to talk about. Let's get into what we're on. What?
Yeah, I might turn his mic off if he keeps.
Well, you can just walk over there real quick. Without all you have to do is just quick unplug. Yeah, right. Next thing you know, is just playing over us.
Exactly.
Talk Easter feast.
Easter feast.
You old school, you new school. Hold on. I'm just teasing people.
Oh, okay.
We're not getting into it yet.
You got me excited.
I know. Literally, he's already wanting to talk about food. I'm loving it.
I'm hungry now.
The Easter feast. We're going to talk about that today for sure. Also, what teams have moved on? We'll just kind of glance at it. Not too long. What teams moved on to the second round of the NBA playoffs?
Okay. Yeah.
One of our picks. It's kind of getting risky biscuits.
I've been watching.
Okay, so we'll dive into that as well. We also will dive into
Golden State.
Yeah, well, we dive into the first round of the NFL draft. Last night.
Yep.
So we'll talk about that, certainly so.
Absolutely.
And I'll bring this up in a little bit because we need to come up with the day because you're kind of stiffing me, Doc. You need to come up with the day we're going to see the movie. Marvel's Avengers Endgame came out last night. Come on. Come up with the time and a day and a time.
This has to be during the day, or can it be?
It can be anytime you want.
Nighttime?
8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, a.m.,
right,
p.m.
Anytime you got 3 hours.
Yeah, right, exactly. That is the only thing.
That's the problem.
And in our coveted Stud or Dud segment, we'll discuss another big name that has unfortunately passed.
Yes.
But certainly an all-time stud.
Yes.
Kyler Murray, is he really a number one overall pick? We'll get into that as well, yeah. Right. We'll get into that as well. And most certainly we'll send our third guest into the chamber of questions.
Yes.
Which leads me right into our third guest, which is great to have. Born and raised right here in Dallas.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rob Flickinger.
Rob Flickinger. The one, the only.
How you doing today, Rob?
Kevin, I'm doing good, man.
Yeah, literally, because you look it up, and it's like, there's not many Flickingers around, and then you type in Rob in front of that.
No, what's the origin of that name, Rob? Where's that come from?
They say it's German.
It sounds kind of German.
Yeah, that sounds kind of German.
Yeah, but we're mostly Scottish, European, with a little bit of German.
Okay.
So, I don't think I'm American Indian.
Maybe 1%.
Yeah, right, exactly. We can all throw that one in there. Maybe 1%.
Hey, wait a minute, man. Have you ever even met anybody with the same last name, Flickinger? I mean,
yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I was playing a gig in Wichita, Kansas at the Cotillion Ballroom, as a matter of fact, in 1985. And it's a really big dance hall. We did Ray Price dance set, Ray Price show, dance set, Ray Price show. They danced all night long. And after the first Ray Price show, I got introduced as Rob Flickinger. Normally, he would introduce me as Amarillo Slim. That night, I don't know why he did.
We'll have to get into that story as well.
He exposed me. He blew the whistle on me.
He's like, oh no, my identity's done.
Exactly.
It's like you're doing those Geico commercials when they're like trying to be in the limelight, or in the black light, and all of a sudden you see him.
Right.
That was Rob. Like, no.
Right. And I'm in Fort Worth, not Dallas.
Oh yeah, right.
Area code 817. But anyway, a bunch of I'd say at least a family and some cousins walked up. There were about 10 folks, and 4 of them looked almost exactly like me. And
wow,
I said, so y'all look a lot like me, and they said, we think we're related because we're Flickingers. And I went, oh my God.
That's crazy.
I said, well, some of us kept going to Oklahoma, and they said, we stopped right here.
You guys had to be related.
Absolutely related.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Funny.
Super cool.
Yeah.
How random that is.
So you know what's great about having
Totally
Rob
random.
here today? We've since we've kicked off Stud and Dud.
Yep.
We've had some awesome guests. We've Steve Kent, ex MLB pitcher, awesome. Last week, your guy.
Yeah, David Basil.
From
Arkansas. The creator of Creations for Arkansas, for sure, for all the sports.
Pretty cool.
And if you haven't heard that show, folks, go check it out because it's awesome. David Basil was
been around a lot of big names.
A stud. And now here we have another stud, but coming from the music background, but as you already know, a pretty good sports.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, so just we'll throw this out right beforehand. So we're talking about Elway. Why I love 7. I'm like, I love 7 because of one reason only, John Elway. And so
good reason.
Yes, and we threw out there. Well, he didn't win a Super Bowl until he got a running game. True, which I did add true. But I was like, name one wide receiver threat he had, and boy, I mean, without a freaking glance of boom, Vance Johnson. Right off the bat, I'm like, whoa.
You were stunned.
I was.
And dude, talk about speechless.
Right?
When you go speechless,
like,
that's...
whoa. Oh, hey, you shut me up, okay? You did. You called me out that you did good.
Hey,
I'm done.
He's got great hands, too. That's what I like about him.
Oh, yeah, and he wasn't a big guy either. You know,
No.
that was back in the day, too, where there wasn't like 6'4"
kind of
receivers
like
that could leap up out of nowhere.
He
Like,
was
hey, just
kind
throw it
of
up.
a Fred Biletnikoff kind
He
of guy.
kind of was, yep. I love some
Catch it anywhere.
Yeah,
Literally,
right.
yep.
Yeah, one of
yep.
the deals.
So that was good. So you get my point.
Yeah.
You got to have...
Phenomenal musician, phenomenal sports
Which,
guru.
let's get back to this. Where did you get this nickname?
So Flick, I got called. My dad was called Flick.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, it started off. I mean, first of all, your first day at school, it's always, my mom named me James Robert Flickinger and then called me Rob to really cause problems.
Yep.
So I get first right off the bat. It's always James Flickinger, and so then some teachers would just call me Flick.
Yeah.
And that kind of smoothed things out. And then a lot of people started calling me. Most of my friends growing up would call me Flick.
That's a great nickname.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I also learned how to throw a frisbee really well, which really doesn't fit my nickname later.
Yeah.
But I play a lot of ultimate frisbee. So, and before I played ultimate, I learned how to throw a frisbee like this really far.
Yeah.
So I can throw a frisbee with a tailwind, 80 yards.
Wow. That's a long way.
But where'd the Amarillo
And what
Slim
about,
come from?
because I knew Flick, yeah.
Flick is a great name,
Yeah.
especially with your love for ultimate frisbee.
Yes.
Right? That's
Right.
a great nickname. That's perfect.
Well, so it was pretty funny because I was touring with Ray, and who called me in my dorm room at Bruce Hall, which is pretty funny in itself.
Ray Price.
The Ray Price. Called me in my dorm room, and which led me to working with him. And within the first year, I had not given my phone number out to somebody, but my name had been announced, and the next thing I knew, a older person called me on the phone and said, "Hey, I saw you play." So such and such place. And I went, "Oh, do I know you?" And she said, "Probably not, but I'm so and so." And I went, "Okay, well, I know you now." And then I told Ray, I said, "Maybe we should not introduce my name."
Right.
I don't want anybody calling me. He said, "Well, what do you want to be?" And I said, "I don't know. Come up with something." He goes, "Well, Amarillo Slim fits."
That's a great nickname.
No,
Amarillo
right,
Slim.
okay.
Right.
Okay, can I be from Fort Worth or somewhere farther west than Dallas? He said, "Sure."
Should have just been from Amarillo.
Something where they can't find my area code.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that is so
That's so
funny.
funny, yeah.
So that's how that started.
There you go. All right.
And yeah, Chief was hilarious too.
So okay, man. Can we just jump in on his story?
Do it.
Fill us in, man. Your background.
Yeah.
You got a fascinating. I know a little bit about.
yeah.
I know a little bit about your background since you've been here at the Dallas School of Music, and when you first came in. Start when I say background. I start when you were a little kid, man. The whole
okay.
Suzuki, whole
Yeah.
Suzuki experience.
Exactly. Going to Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah,
kidding me?
so I went to Japan twice. It was really. I woke up. I got out of second grade, and my mom played violin, played piano, good musician, and we had a half size sitting around. And my sister's birthday was in January, and around that time I picked it up and figured out how you put your fingers down. I was watching. You put your fingers down. I'm really a lefty, but they converted me in kindergarten because I went to like Catholic Episcopal kindergarten and I broke my left arm, and so they made me write anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm a converted righty, but I'm a lefty. So picked up the violin. It worked out really great for me. And so unbeknownst to me, my mom said, "Get in the car. We're going somewhere." First day out of school, second grade. And I assumed we were like going to play baseball, which was a normal procedure.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right.
And then there was a violin in the car. Next thing I knew, I was at a violin lesson. And then next thing I knew, it really took off. I mean, I had 2 books memorized in the first summer I played.
Wow. So it was a
And,
commitment off the bat. You wanted
Right off
yeah.
the bat, I love music to begin with.
Yeah.
My mom, we sang. We had Cliff. We lived across the street from K-Box, and I could pick up K-Box, which was a big country station in Dallas. You could literally drive up. It was an old bank building. You could drive up, and they had a window. And if you were an adult, they would take your request. You could
Wow.
write it down, and they'd send
so
the.
cool.
I know it was really.
And my dad's a
rare.
morning show host, or in radio, and has been forever. That's
Okay.
so up until probably the last 20 years, and even some of this point being, they have those windows. You would get into those things where you could see your fans come up and pull.
It was awesome.
It was it's an old school experience, but that's what it was like. You want to get in touch with your fans.
Oh yeah, and we'd ride up there on bicycles, and get the Heisman all the time. Finally, one day I requested a George Jones tune, and The Race Is On. Love that song,
Yeah.
and I'll be doggone if they didn't play it.
You were probably not happy.
I was riding my bike, so I didn't know.
Exactly.
That's
Great
amazing.
tune though, and so I learned how to play a lot of music in a hurry. We had the program here in Dallas was a really great program run by Dr. Evelyn Herman, and there's still Suzuki Institute of Dallas running today. At a certain point, there were enough really advanced students in America where they decided they needed to do a tour of American students. So they went around to all the teachers and they said, let's get a list going of people we might want to go. Of course, we didn't have a ton of money at the time, and my mom was a teacher. So it was not real feasible to get on a plane and go to Japan. So they said, well, we'll work it out for certain people. So I ended up on a plane with no parents going to Japan.
And how old are you at this time?
I was 11.
And so also too, you were picked, like you were the one nominated.
Yeah, well, we had about from Dallas. We had about 8 folks from Dallas. I think myself and Reuben Jacobs, whose dad, Mike Jacobs, runs the Holocaust Museum here in Dallas.
Gotcha.
Reuben went, and I think we were the 2 youngest at that time. And you basically do a big concert, and you play everything you know by memory. In other words, if you have 5 books of Suzuki memorized, which is at that time, I had the Bach violin concerto. His first violin concerto was the farthest I advanced, so that's when I was waiting in line for everybody who played that piece. Yeah. We're standing in this huge queue at the Budokan, the same place where Cheap Trick did their Live at the Budokan record years later.
That's cool.
Okay,
Wow.
It's a huge venue, and they have pianos and monitors spread everywhere out. So it's a huge concert with everybody who plays in Japan who plays violin and cello and some pianos. So we get out there, and I'm in line with all these people. And when I get out there, and there's a picture somewhere I've got of me standing in a sea of Japanese people playing Bach. When I walked out there to play with everybody.
I bet you blended right in.
Yeah.
Complete camouflage.
Yeah.
No,
Amarillo Slim over here was not sticking out, was he?
No, Amarillo Slim.
Back then I was Towhead Strawberry Blonde.
There you go, exactly, yeah.
It was really fun, and then you got to spend a week with Suzuki, right?
Yeah.
So, and it was a completely different experience than what I've experienced from some of the Suzuki teachers here in Dallas and teaching in Dallas. And
So how long were you there?
we were down there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, wow.
And actually, he actually helped me fix I owe my bow arm to Suzuki. I'll say that. He really smoothed out my wrist. He kept saying, "So, wrist is." He looked at my. So he's in a suit.
Yeah.
There's a reel-to-reel over here and a picture of Bernstein on the wall.
Oh, wow.
And Suzuki.
Interesting.
And he walks over to me and he goes, "Oh," and he's looking at my left hand, and I know my left hand is awesome because I can do whatever. I've never had an issue with it. It does whatever I ask it to in general. So he looks at my left hand and he goes, "Oh, so rubbery. Right, so rubbery." And then he looks over at my bow arm and he goes, "Oh, so bad."
So bad.
I'm like, I went from like ear to there.
Yeah, right. I
And
bet
he
in a
was- So
hurry.
then we proceeded to have and then he talked about my wrist to his associate, and she said, "Your wrist too stiff." And I'm thinking, he said a lot more than that.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So then he said, "You play baseball?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I play baseball." And he goes, "Baseball, so great. It's so, you throw." And I said, "Yeah, I throw baseball." He said, "Wrist is same wrist. Throw baseball, play violin." And I went,
That's interesting.
I said, "Do you play baseball?" "Oh, yeah, I throw baseball."
Yeah.
So before the week was out, he had found a couple of gloves, and I had found a ball, and I'm probably one of the few people who's actually played
That's
toss
awesome.
with
Yeah.
Suzuki.
Play catch with Suzuki.
Oh, that's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Man,
I
wouldn't
know.
that be great to have a picture of that?
Yeah,
I
right.
wish.
So, I mean, back in the
he's
day,
standing there in
should've
his
been there.
suit with a glove on and a tie, and I'm in
These
my
days
red
it would have
sweater.
been photographed. All the media we have now.
Oh,
If
no
that
doubt.
something like that happened, it would have
Yeah.
been.
So that's how it
photographed to no
started.
end.
That's how it started.
So-
but I play. I like to say this. I'm a classically trained violinist. But I grew up in Texas. So if it has strings on it, I play it.
Yeah, talk about that for a minute, because your background is so unique, man. I don't know if I know anybody in the music industry like you with your background. You have such a classical orchestral string background.
Right.
I mean, studying with the best.
Yeah, Brusilov gave me my scholarship at North Texas.
Yeah, right. So you from the orchestral side, you've studied and rubbed elbows with the best of the best, and then you have this whole Texas, this whole country group going, right, man?
It's great.
So how did all that happen?
Yeah, literally, I was sitting there in my dorm room. Now everybody
So we moved ahead of Suzuki.
Yeah,
so now you're in college.
Suzuki. So in college, well, I played in All-State, did all the
Yeah.
orchestra things, concertmaster of All-State one year,
Like high school, stuff you do in high school.
Stuff you do in high school, and then we all get ready for scholarships. So we're all playing everywhere, practicing our rear ends off, trying to get a scholarship. I mean, and I was well aware I needed a scholarship. I was going to study music. My dad sat down one day. He said, so a really good business school in North Texas. And I went there and I said, yeah, it's really great, but they got a better music school.
All dads have that speech.
Exactly. Right. It's a real classic at Dunstan Steakhouse, as a matter of fact.
Mine was at a steakhouse. They had the same speech. That's so funny.
It's the greatest steak. It's got a back door. Man. Some of the biggest deals in Dallas are cut at Dunstan Steakhouse.
Oh, that is so funny.
Including whether or not you're going to study business or music.
Yeah. What are you doing with your life, son?
Exactly.
That talk.
I said, well, I'm going to get a scholarship to go somewhere and play music. And he stared at me and he said, they're going to give you a what? I said, a scholarship. They pay for you. Yeah. They pay your school so you can study music. And he said, well, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Come on. I go, what? You think all those guys in the band playing for your beloved football team, they're there for free probably.
Right.
They're on scholarship.
Yeah, which I said something, I think, along the lines, and it went over like lead balloon was, so how did your scholarship work out? And, I think I think I got bumped down to that 6-ounce petite.
Yeah, right, yeah. You went with the porterhouse and a fully baked potato to a plain baked potato.
Lose the butter.
Yeah.
So then I went to North Texas.
All right.
After auditioning a bunch of different places, I almost went to Indiana, but you had to survive for a year on a half scholarship.
Huh.
And they're a real orchestra mill. I mean, if you really want to play in an orchestra, you go to Indiana, and they drill you in everything orchestra, and you'll get a gig. I mean, they're everywhere. Indiana students are everywhere. It's pretty cool. It is crazy.
I did not know that.
Well, yeah, and my last teacher here in Dallas that I changed was a Dallas Symphony guy, Melvin Bear, went to Indiana, and knew everybody, but he also was a double major. He was a piano and a violin major at Indiana, and he was an unbelievable musician. Yeah. So I just sat there and absorbed that guy. Yeah. So fast forward, I get a bunch of scholarship offers, and the best one at that time was at North Texas because the Robert Davidovich was the concertmaster at Fort Worth Symphony. He was the artist in residence there, and Angel Brusilaw, probably one of the greatest violinists ever, was the conductor up there. His recording of the Four Seasons is the best. Everybody go buy it. It's awesome. It's off the charts. And so that leads me to sitting there the year 2 up there in school. I'm sitting there, and I get a phone call in my dorm room.
Bruce Hall?
At Bruce Hall.
Okay.
The greatness of Bruce Hall.
Oh, yes. All North Texas musicians know exactly what you're speaking of at this very moment.
Yes.
If Bruce Hall could talk.
Yes. Buddy Hickman, who was the Quigman's cartoonist, lived right across the hall from me. Everett Harp, who ended up playing off and on the Tonight Show, saxophone player at the end of the hall. Walt Runge, next door to me, keyboard player, extraordinaire, plays all over the United States, gigged everywhere. So it was like a mill of people who were headed to playing music.
Gotcha. Right.
Really amazing. So Ray knew about that too, and he knew also musicians at North Texas. He'd always kept his eye there, and he'd pulled some musicians out of there before. So he'd heard about me, and I got this phone call. Well, we all spoofed everybody, so if you were a real jerk, you might get a phone call from Buddy Rich with a gig offer, especially if he was in the 1 o'clock that afternoon.
Right.
Which might lead you waiting in front of Music Practice North for 5 hours waiting for the bus to pick you up.
Yeah, where's Buddy Rich?
Yeah, he told me on the phone,
Yeah.
Hey, man, I heard you at the 1 o'clock. It was really great. Can you effing come play for me?
The kid runs to the dorm, packs up his stuff, goes down to the bus, waits for the bus. That never comes.
And you had to do a good Buddy Rich impression. By the way, that's not too far off of him, by the way. So he sat right behind me in the 1 o'clock one day, and I was going, who is that? Oh, my gosh, man, unbelievable.
He was such a quiet guy.
He was, talk about a comment on everybody's playing.
Right.
It was pretty fascinating, but a great musician. Nevertheless, so I get a phone call, and right off the bat, it sounds real legit, but my radar's up,
Yeah.
But I know I'm good, and I know I'm not a jerk, so it's probably Ray Price. And he didn't say I'm a country singer. He said, hi, I'm Ray Price. I'm a singer, and I heard you play a little bit of fiddle and violin, and you can read. And I said, yes, sir, I do. And he said, well, I've got some work coming up this weekend. Would you like to come play with us? And I said, hang on a minute. Check my schedule. And I covered.
Yeah, like you had anything on the schedule.
You gotta make it look like, he might
my
have
roommate's staring at me.
Dinner in the
going,
cafeteria at 5.
Exactly. exactly.
Right.
The orchestra at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Study for sociology exam.
But no, go practice instead. Yeah, exactly. So I cover up the phone. And my roommate's going, "Who is it?" I said, "It's Ray Price." And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm checking my schedule." So he's throwing stuff at me, and I'm ducking, and I'm going, "Oh yeah, I'm free." And he goes, "Well, hang on a second, son. I'm gonna put my band leader on. He'll give you all the directions." And then I meet Moises Blondie Calderon, who's probably one of the greatest musicians I have ever met. A piano player who would sit there sometimes after a gig, and he'd say, "Okay, for $1, movie themes." And people would produce dollars, and they'd say a movie theme, and he could play anyone.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
At the drop of his hat. You would love him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In fact, I've got a really great recording of him. So Blondie filled me in like this. He said, "Okay, be here, bring your suit. Don't be late. You can read, right?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I can read." And he said, "I heard you're good. You better be, because we don't last long if you ain't."
Yeah, right. I'm sure you don't.
And I went, "Okay, thank you." And he said, "See you Friday." And I hung up. And I was like going, "Oh my gosh, holy cow." So then I got on the bus, and right off the bat, the first person I met was Ray and Buddy Emmons, who I knew because I was a record reader when I grew up. I'm right going, "Who's playing that?" On the record.
right.
Right. Who's playing that? What fiddle player's playing that? What guitar player? Jimmy Capps, so all these really great players. And I'm sitting there, and it's Buddy Emmons, and I'm like going, "This is going to be interesting."
Wow.
And I'm real quiet, and I meet everybody in the band. And there's one younger guy on the Cliff, who is my age, Ray's son, who's a good friend of mine. And one other younger violin player who didn't last long. And me, sitting on the bus, and away we went. And the first gig we played was a legit honky-tonk.
Wow.
In Beeville, Texas.
Yeah.
Texas?
Went down to Beeville.
And what year is this too, by the way?
This is like 83.
There you go.
83. And go play this real honky-tonk. And on one, they had 2 stages, one with chicken wire.
Golly, just like
awesome.
the Blues
Just
Brothers,
like-
man.
just
I'm telling you, I was
like
gonna say this is like relative to like this is how real honky tonk like back in the day.
Oh
like,
man!
you
By the way, I love honky tonks. They're like the best thing ever. Some of the best music gets played there too.
Yes.
I never noticed.
Yeah,
But
and some of the unnoticed musicians of all time.
Correct.
That
Absolutely.
unfortunately,
Right.
that never
Yeah,
get noticed
that's right.
playing those.
Yes.
yeah, play a change like that. Oh, can you do it in D flat?
Yeah. Right.
Boom.
No problem.
What is it? 1-4-3. What got?
Yeah.
Boom, got it. So they're sailing away. So that's the first gig. We played on the non chicken non-protected stage.
Oh.
Ray killed it. It was
Right.
packed. There was an immediate argument afterwards on the bus between the club owner and Blondie about how much liquor was sold, because Ray in those days he knew he'd pack it in, so he'd cut his fee and settle for a cut of the alcohol too.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So Blondie said, "Well, there must be some misunderstanding because." Which at one time, one honky tonk, Blondie had to come back on the bus, and he went to the back, and he said, "I'll be right back." And when he was walking off, I saw a Browning 9mm stuck in.
Oh my God! See, these are real.
That's what I'm saying. This is old school good stuff. This doesn't happen really anymore.
And he gets on the bus. That was really funny too, because he got back on the bus, and when he left the bus, he said, "Start the bus."
Yeah.
So
See,
get it ready for me.
And he was walking really fast for a large Hispanic dude.
Yeah, right.
When he came out, and he said, "Let's go, let's go," and so we went.
Yeah.
that's hilarious, right? See, people think that only happens in the movies. Man.
No, that's why I try to tell you, like, yes, have you seen the movies? There's a reason why they're writing it. Because they've either seen it or heard about it. It's because it's happened.
It's the
exactly
doggone
right.
truth. Oh my God! I just sat there and I went, "Okay, that's interesting," But anyway, so Beeville was my first gig, and I couldn't believe it. And Blondie would introduce Ray, and I laughed the first time I heard this. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the best singer in the business, Mr. Ray Price." And Ray came out, and he killed it. I mean, it was like playing a show in the studio. We have charts that are written out. You get to freelance a little bit on some of the fiddle stuff, but the rest of it's pretty much straight up show. We want to do it as much like the record as we can, with a little bit of fooling around.
Yep.
And then the next show we did was the Fat Stock Show in Houston in the Astrodome. This is all one weekend. And, that's a stock show that made George Strait famous because Eddie Rabbitt canceled. Got sick
kidding.
within 3 hours of the show, and they said, "Who are we going to get?" And some guy said, "Well, I know George Strait. He sings great. He plays local." So, "Well, let's go get him." Well, George was out working cattle. when they
Just
finally
shows you how
found
people
him.
back in the day probably playing honky tonk
Yeah.
or whatever and stuff, and then
Heck,
eventually
yeah, and they're sitting
gets
there.
that break.
There it is.
Bingo. That's exactly how it happened for him too. And he's not only that, George sold it too. He showed up and he killed it. He did it just what he does now. Gets out there and does real straight country with great arrangements, great musicians. And then afterwards, what sold it and really probably made him a legend was, so there was a horse outside the stage. So George jumped on it
I was
and
gonna
then
say,
took
just
his
don't
hat
tell me he
off
jumps on it.
and
Oh
went
my
riding
gosh.
around the arena with his hat, and that was it.
And that was
Wow,
it.
that's it.
The
Look,
rest
you
is
just- I
history.
mean, that
The rest is history.
That's there you go. Look
Now,
at
then he hooked up with Tony Brown, great producers, and that stuff too. So.
All right, so tell us, you have this great guitar sitting next to you right here. Man. Tell us,
The bus guitar.
you got to play a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
of that, and tell us the story behind this guitar.
Yeah, right.
This
Come
is
on now.
Yeah, this is like
I mean,
this is the famous bus guitar.
The bus guitar.
The bus guitar.
Oh.
Trailer for sale already. Rooms to let 50 cents. No phone, no pool beds. I ain't got no cigarettes on, but so
Oh, I love
the
that too,
bus
man.
There you go,
guitar
yeah.
You can play that
was
all day, bro.
you go.
actually played one time by the guy who wrote that tune, a guy named Roger Miller. We were playing a club called Caravan West, and it's out in Albuquerque, I believe. And it had 3 floors, and they would have different acts like punk rock.
I
Rock
love
and
that.
roll
You
and
see
country.
Those, I wish they do more. You see those every once in a while.
Yes.
Still, I'm like, that's a great. You'll have like nowadays, it's like
Yeah.
rap on one floor because rap's a new. But and I'm like, I love seeing that because you give
Right.
people.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna dive out of this for a little bit. I want to dive up to that for a little bit.
Yeah, it was awesome because you could literally, the country folks would be downstairs and moving around. It was just, it was
Yeah,
really
beautiful.
really fun. So we had a guy who was he was sitting there in a station wagon with a busted out rear window and some guitars piled in the back. And we would play dance set, Ray Price show, dance set, Ray Price show. So after the first dance set, he walked up to us and he said, "Hey, I've got this guitar here and I'd like to sell it a little bit. I need a little gas money." I said, "Well, where you heading? How much you need?" And he said, "Well, I'm heading out to L.A. because, I'm coming from Nashville. I'm a songwriter. And they didn't get me in Nashville, but they're going to get me in L.A. for sure. But I need a little
my
gas
gosh.
money."
That is
"Okay."
great.
And so I went, "Okay." And so I said, "Well, can I borrow it a second?" He said, "Well, sure, but you got to bring it back." I said, "Oh, I'm right here on the bus, not going anywhere." He said, "Sure, sure." And I walked in, and Wade Kirby was playing guitar with Ray at the time. Wade Kirby is the son of Dave Kirby, who's written all of Don Williams' hits, a bunch of them.
Wow.
And Wade Kirby's a little bit of a songwriter, but a great guitar player. And I brought it in. I said, "So how much
how
do
much
you
is this
think this thing?" And he goes, "Well, it's some kind of a D18 Martin copy, it looks like. And, probably, how much does he want?" And I said, "He wants a couple $100 for it." And he said, "It's probably worth a couple $100. I said, "What should I offer him?" He said, "How much you got in your pocket?"
Oh,
So I reached in my
God.
pocket and
$20.
I had $30 cash. And
Oh,
he
man.
goes, "You ought to offer him 30. And I said, "Will it work?" He said, "Well, it worked for me a year ago." And I went, "Well, tried and true. I should listen to the road vet." And
Yeah,
I
right.
said, "Okay, so I'm gonna leave the $30. So after the Ray Price show, the first Ray Price show, it came down at 100. After the second dance show, it was about $80.
Yeah.
And then we would do the last Ray Price show, and he's really.
He's needing some money.
Now, I have to admit, I invested in some beers for this guy.
That helps.
I had probably a 6-pack into it. You know.
So he invested maybe $7 more probably back then.
Exactly. He was drinking Bud, so it was cheap.
Yeah, right. There you go. I love it.
In bottles, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Long necks.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Love it.
gosh.
So I'm sitting there, and we're getting the bus is firing up, and we're getting to leave, and he's like looking at me, and I'm going to reach in my pocket, and I go, "Well, I got $30," and he's sitting there, and he's holding it, and he goes,
Long and dear.
he
Thinking.
looks at me, and he's looking at it, and he goes, "Okay, but without the case." And I went, "All right."
Yeah, sure.
Sure, we're gonna put it in a bunk anyway.
Yeah.
So I bought it. This is 1983, and I bought it, and so we threw it in the bunk, and it became the bus guitar. Well, within a month, we're playing a gig with Willie Nelson, and Willie comes over to visit with Ray, right? And the guitar is sitting out, right? So the first thing that happens is Willie walks on, and he goes, "What you up to, Chief?" And Chief goes, "That's good," and he goes, "Oh, now, okay. Nice to have one of these around." So anyway, and he puts it down, and
This sounds like it's a college dorm now. It's like morphed into a musical, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, just passing around.
Yeah, Willie just walks in, he picks it up. Everybody picked it up, and so I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh my God, it just went up from $30. It's now worth a couple $100 easy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Willie Nelson
easy.
touches it.
Yeah. And back then I didn't want to be a germ, It's because I'm really young. I mean, I'm looking around on the bus and there's all these, 35 may have been the youngest person, and I'm like 20. 19 at the time,
Wow.
actually. Yeah, so
And so how
I'm
old
sitting
were
there.
how old was like, I guess Willie, Ray Price.
Well,
I
let's
guess
see.
they're in their
Ray
40s,
would
the
have
main-
been in his late 60s, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were youngin'.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's what I'm
was
saying.
young
That's what's a
and-
crazy thing. We're like, how old was Ray? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's just crazy.
Hey, yeah, and he was killing it too. I mean, he killed it at the Fact Stock show. The third show I did with Ray was just sold me on him, because we did a real sit down theater in Houston. Beautiful place, great microphones. They pulled out really great stuff. They loved Ray. I mean, when he showed up, they were like doing this, and they were going, "Hey, Chief, how are you?" And I was like going, "Oh my gosh," Which just about anybody in country music who stopped by to say hello to him, he was the chief. I mean, he saved. Many people say he saved country music twice. He saved it with the shuffle, with the Ray Price shuffle that everybody has to do now, And he also then saved it when it was dying, and he put strings on it. And Buck Owens said, "I'll never buy another Ray Price record." But then Ray had huge hits with strings, and then everybody added strings. Ronnie Millsap, everybody had huge hits with strings.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. So he was the first to do that.
Oh yeah, Don Law was his record producer, one of Sony's greatest record producers, and he said, yeah. And so they got Cam Mullins from New York to do great string charts, and boom, sold millions of records.
Yeah.
Ray Price.
For the good times.
I was just going to say, for the good times.
Yeah.
That's man.
Which Chris pitched to Ray, and Ray said, "Man, I can't record it." And he said, "Well, yeah, you got to. It's a Ray Price tune. It's a guaranteed #1 hit." And Ray said, "I know it is." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to put it on my album." And he goes, "I know, but somebody's going to have a hit with it." And he goes, "Well, why can't you record it?" And he said, "Well, I'm getting ready to get divorced, and, it's going to lose it all." And Chris said, "Well, wait."
Right, yeah.
And so he waited.
Waited till after.
Waited, and that's really great. They were great. Chris used to show up at Ray Price shows all the time if he was in town around. He'd just show up, you'd look over the side of the stage, and there'd be Chris hanging out. So Larry Gatlin was another one of those guys.
So that's interesting. He waited till after his divorce.
Yeah, and then he recorded
cut
it.
Good time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and so, it was a big, and it's a huge hit, too.
No doubt.
But he knew it was going to be a huge hit right off the bat. Everybody who heard it knew it was going to be, because Chris is a genius songwriter.
Yeah.
And it's great for timing. It's just like going back to the George Strait thing.
Yes.
Just, timing, big break, whatever. But timing. My dad always says with everything, timing is key. So key.
Yeah.
But that maybe he does release it and doesn't do it the right early, and but he knew it was. So it's like, let me wait for the right time, and then.
Yeah,
it's the right person too.
Yeah,
because Willie wrote "Crazy" while he was working with Ray, and played it for Ray while he was riding on the bus, and he came up and played "Crazy" for everybody, and everybody's like going, "Oh my gosh!" And he said, "Yeah, it's almost finished." And they were like going, "Oh my gosh!" And Ray said, "Well, I can't wait to record that one." And then Ray's driving around in his Cadillac in Hendersonville, driving back to his house, and he turns on WSM, and lo and behold, "Crazy" comes on, and Patsy's singing it, and he's like, "By God!"
yeah.
So he turns around and drives over to Willie's house and says, "What in the heck are you doing?" He goes, "Well, not a Ray Price tune, right? Yeah, that's Patsy Cline tune."
And it's so crazy back then how many musicians would write songs for other, you know what I mean? Like, you don't see that anymore.
Man.
But back in the day, because my dad does this, Basil, because Basil doesn't know nearly as much as my dad does as far as music, and he'll be like, and then Roger, that's also on there, but they bring up that all the time.
Right.
This person would write that they're like, whoa, you never get that anymore. It's obviously
music for
a different reason this day. It's all for this, money or fame. It's not what it used to be for.
Of course.
And unfortunately,
right.
but you saw it so much so back in the day where someone would write a song.
Yeah, well, I don't think that a lot of people sit down and go, they write a song. For instance, Roger Miller wrote "Invitation to the Blues" after Ray had, Roger went to Nashville, and he got disillusioned. Moved back to Texas. His wife was pregnant. He took a gig as a fireman in Amarillo.
Wow.
And Ray came through town playing, and Roger heard Ray needed a fiddle player. So he went over to audition for Ray. And Ray knew who Roger was, and he'd heard about him. He'd had a little brief association with George Jones. And Roger came and he played a bunch of fiddle tunes for Ray. Ray sat there and listened.
No, that's interesting. I had no idea Roger Miller played fiddle.
Roger Miller's one of those guys who could play. If it had strings, he could play it.
Just like you.
Yeah, mandolin.
Pick it up and figure it out.
Yeah, they figure it out.
What a voice, man. What a voice.
Just,
Yeah,
oh my God. Yeah, just a really, and a, man, I talk about a funny guy. Oh my God, just fun. So he went audition for Ray, and after he played every fiddle tune he knew, Ray said, well, you know, that's great and everything, except I don't need a fiddle player. Which is classic for Roger.
Right. Like, that's great and all, but...
There has to be a punchline in there.
Yeah.
It's Roger Miller. And Roger said, and Ray said, can you play bass? By the way, same line he played with Willie. Willie came in and played some guitar for Ray, and Ray said, great, but I don't need a guitar player. And he said, can you play bass? And Willie said, well, sure. So Willie played bass at first for Ray and then switched to guitar. And yeah, unbelievable. Wrote all these tunes. So Roger came and auditioned, and Ray said, well, you don't need to be here. What are you doing? He said, I'm a fireman. So the chief came. Now, this is the true story. Now, they say in the records that he wasn't doing his job around the firehouse, so they fired him. What really happened, and this comes from Ray and from Roger, because I was sitting there when they were talking about it, and Roger played the gig, you know, and did a great job. They let him do fronts from the show and sing some of his tunes, too, because Roger was playing locally, you know. So he ended up, and Ray said, why don't you just get on the bus and come back to Nashville? You need to move to Nashville. We'll get you some work. We'll get you, I can guarantee you, we'll sign you to a writing contract somewhere. And so Roger said, well, okay. And the fire chief was there, and Ray said, well, what do you think? And the chief said, well, all he does is sit around and play guitar. Heck yeah, you need to take him back to Nashville. We can't get him to roll a hose up or nothing.
Yeah.
So Ray got Roger to move back to Nashville, and Roger was forever thankful.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's huge.
See, it's hard to believe, man. You know, when you hear a story like that, you know, I think the public always thinks Roger Miller, you know,
just made it. Yeah,
just made it, big star. You know, had no struggles or anything. And you know, you're sitting here telling this story, and I'm sitting there going like, he worked for the fire department in Amarillo, Texas? Are you kidding me?
Man, we know musicians work. We spend hours on our instrument.
Yeah.
And he spent hours picking and writing and thinking. He's a really nimble mind, and so it works as a songwriter. If you can play, you know, I think you get some heart going through the music.
Right.
If you've got some competence, and most of us who feel musically drawn, we spend hours working on it, and it pays off. But they're not without huge setbacks.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so look, that's dimension number 2 for you. Dimension 1, orchestral musician. Dimension 2, Texas boy, fiddler, guitarist, country boy. That's awesome. Dimension 3, quite an athlete. Sports.
I play ultimate.
Sports guru, which is going to lead us into our sports talk that I know that
How
Josh
about that
has.
half-court shot by Lillard?
Was that amazing? That was amazing. So just talk to us a little bit about, before we turn things over to Josh.
Yeah, so I grew up. Do you play sports growing up?
The 4 major sports.
Okay.
Well, I got to throw golf in the 4 major sports. I don't know why, but baseball, football, and basketball.
And fencing. He was a fencer.
Oh, yeah. And some wrestling.
You got long enough arms. That would be good. We all wrestle sooner or later.
He was a great fencer and wrestler.
Yeah, right.
I used to be a fencer when I was a hooligan as a kid. That's
right,
hopping over stuff.
Yeah, that kind of fencing. Certainly.
So I grew up playing sports. I grew up in Dallas and at White Rock Elementary, and we had really great athletes there. In fact, we had some. I think Matt Dunnigan was one of the people. He ended up winning Grey Cups up at in the Canadian Football League. But anyway, I played football. In fact, we played football. I remember in 2nd grade we had pads on playing football. Oh my gosh, it was fun.
Oh yeah.
You know, I would go to my violin lesson right after school. My mom would race to school. She taught me the violin lesson. I would change into my pads on the way back to football practice. She'd drop me off, and I played DB and wide receiver, and then center when Chad couldn't remember the calls on certain plays. Because which we all know now, is if you play music, you know, you have a great memory. You start to memorize stuff.
And linemen need to be smart, which usually linemen are usually the smartest people out there.
Dude, I mean, Coach Nance, he'd say, "All right, Flick, you gotta go." Flickinger, you gotta go be center for 2 plays. Okay, what are we running? He said, yeah, but you don't need to run that. We're gonna run that count because we need, you know. So we would try and catch. He was a really great coach. He was also the first coach who took us to. That was the other thing. End of 4th grade. End of 3rd grade, summer going into 4th grade, we all went to dance class. Everybody on the football team, basketball team, baseball team, all went to dance class. when the girls hated us. But we all learned balance.
It
And the next
helps,
year
yeah.
we killed everybody because our fastest running back, he didn't fall down anymore when people hit him. He just bounced and kept his balance and kept going.
Yeah.
We killed people.
Speaking of guys, because I did the same thing to Doc when he brought up the Elway thing, name a wide receiver. The one he brought up, not a wide receiver, but a great tight end and one of the greatest of all time, and he did have that for a long time, Shannon Sharp.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of now back to your point, Shannon Sharp, what he did for his balance, and he was huge. He was a big,
guy, he's big.
ballet. Boom.
Okay.
So there you go. So he would do
Herschel
ballet.
Walker was a ballet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you get my
right.
point. They would go do. I mean, so you totally see because you need it in balance.
This was and this guy was he's the revolutionary for a coach. This is 1970, early 70s.
Yeah.
When he's like going, we need to get these kids some balance.
Yeah,
Take them to
exactly,
dance class. Worked out with the dance instructor. So I played sports until 7th grade is the last year I went out for football because I had a hit list.
The Flick.
The Flick, right?
The Flick had a
I
hit
had
list.
a hit list, and one of the guys who was
Amarillo
on my
Slim.
hit list, I hit him really hard, because it's you practice for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
before school starts. Everybody tries out, they sort you out,
Yep.
and it's 7th through 9th grade, it's the real deal. And I was always fast, one of the fastest kids on my block all the time, so. I knew I could squeeze between spaces and get some hits on some people I wanted to hit, the bullies who were in 6th grade. But now you could hit them, because it's legal in football.
yeah,
So,
right.
and then one of the bullies, I really put a good lick on him, and he popped up and helped me up, and he goes, "Hey, Flick, that was pretty good." And I'm like going, "Oh." And I'm going, "Well, okay, I'm a musician." And so I went home, and as my mom tells me, I took the pad, after the end of 2 weeks, I took my pads off, threw them in the closet, and became a musician.
There you go, yeah.
But I always played intramural sports with all my friends who I played sports with all the years. And then fast forward to North Texas, and a guy across the hall from me named Dave Taylor, who became my best friend, he managed to finagle. He had a jewelry shop in his dorm room at Bruce Hall in a private room.
He ran a
Of course
jewelry
he did.
shop out of his dorm room.
Exactly.
It's classic.
He made money, too. It was
Oh,
good
my
jewelry.
God.
Hey,
Classic.
good little scheme right there in college. Make
He
some extra
had
money.
a lung condition, which he really did have. So he had a private room. And actually, he was one of the first people in Texas to get a double lung transplant.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Dave Taylor was an amazing person and really one of the funniest guys I ever met. Well, anyway, he was at the end of the hall one time, and he threw a Frisbee to me, backhand, down the hall of Bruce Hall in A300 Bruce Hall. And he threw a really nice straight Frisbee, and I caught it, and I threw it back to him like this with a flick. And his eyes got real big because it went straight, and it went straight to him a long way. And he went, "Do you play Ultimate?" And I said, "What's Ultimate?" and he goes, "Oh my gosh, we got to do something with you this
Yeah,
afternoon."
right.
I said, what are we doing? He said, "You like sports?" I said, "I love sports. I like to run. Let's go." And he said, "Well, we're going to go down to the library and play Ultimate." So that's how my first introduction to Ultimate, which was fall of 1979.
Wow.
See, I would have never guessed that had been around that long.
Oh yeah, I figured, but I'm sure that was in its earliest stages.
The very
and that-
early
yeah.
stages.
Yeah.
It was right before the first time we all had the national tournament was just coming into shape at that time. And my first national tournament, when we all had to pay, we all got cards and everything.
That's cool.
Ultimate Players Association, we ran the whole sport. And it's a national tournament. It's much like the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
I mean, you enter it starts at sectional level. All the Ultimate teams in the United States can enter. And then 2 teams advance from there to regionals, and then 2 teams from there. And in '86 and '87, we combined it with Dallas and an Austin team for a team called Texas Heat, and we were ranked 12th going into nationals in '86, and we ended up 8th.
Wow.
So
Very impressive.
And
man.
I play. I'm a defender scorer is what I play, so to speak. My position. We have a lot of people are quarterbacks. We have people who handle the disc a lot, people who cut and everything else. But I like to throw long, and if you throw long, every now and then you have a turnover.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, but as
It's like throwing the 50-yard
yeah,
bomb, you're gonna have
it
an
is.
interception here and there.
Which means you got to play defense.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, but the good thing is if you play defense and you've thrown a really long pass, like to say, a huck is what we call a bomb in Ultimate. So,
Yeah.
if you play defense, you can huck all day. Because if I throw a bad one, I'll go get it back.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's all about exactly.
Gotta go get it back.
Yeah.
Which I've done on many occasions early on, and then I got a lot more accurate, And plus, if you hook up with it's about like we were talking with Van Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, we finally got somebody on that '86 team, a guy named Pat Lee. We finally got him in a Southern player into the Ultimate Hall of Fame last year.
Wow.
We all went out there for the 50th anniversary. I played Ultimate on the beach. It was awesome. And we got somebody in, but he caught a lot of my swill, which helped him get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But he also was a great receiver. You just throw it to open space, and Pat would go get it.
Where is the Ultimate Hall of Fame? Where is that located?
It's currently located.
Somebody's
There's not
basement?
a physical building. Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
not. It's not.
You just get inducted. You get inducted. They're getting there.
You got to give it time.
Yes.
It's not like Canton or something.
Yeah, we're getting
No,
there.
Okay, all right.
I died laughing like the first UPA tournament, one of the first national tournaments I played into. We made it to regionals, and I met Tom Kennedy, who was the head of UPA, and all of our names were in this big shoebox where all our cards lined up. It was all the ultimate players. If you
Love
lost
it.
that shoebox, we'd have
Yeah.
been a history. Because people were starting to figure out you could cheat and maybe not play for one team.
Yeah.
If that didn't make it, change your name and play
Yeah,
another.
because they didn't know if you're from a different region. They don't know who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, especially back then. There's no
It's
Facebook.
hilarious.
No.
Absolutely. It's
But-
awesome.
But they're going, wait a minute, man. Amarillo Slim.
Yeah.
He's been on a
Wait
couple
a minute.
different. He's been on a
Wait
couple.
I noticed the hair.
minute.
Yeah.
You're that tall guy who
Amarillo
throws
Slim.
really
Right.
long.
Amarillo-
Yeah.
Flick it.
Yeah. Also
You
known
got
as
that flick.
Flick.
Yeah. All right, so before we do head out, though, I wanted to
Yeah.
ask him a couple questions.
Sure, go for it, man.
All the string instruments you play, which is your favorite and why?
Oh, my favorite to play is guitar, because if you went to a desert island, you can play harmony, you can play melody, you can sing along with it. It's fun. You can accompany people. Next is probably cello, and then violin, and then a lot of things come in after that. And I flip-flop on cello and violin, so.
So it's guitar for sure.
Yeah.
Played with a lot of musicians. Who's your favorite to tour or play with all time?
Well, the Chief, but his band, when it had Buddy Emmons on steel guitar, I mean, I thought steel guitar was a whiny instrument, and then the first time I heard Buddy play, I could feel his steel guitar coming up through my feet, and I went, okay, that's steel guitar. So Ray, although I've played with, Hillary Hahn is an awesome violinist, and I've got to play a couple of concerts with her, and she's just like one of the best fiddle players on the planet too. We used to actually, here's the best tours ever were Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, Ray Price, and they called it Last of the Breed tours, and those were just the best ever.
But and I was going to say, maybe this comes from that. Most memorable moment all time in all your years of music.
Oh,
Stud and Dud.
probably.
Yeah,
If
finally
I-
getting on Stud and Dud.
Okay,
Getting on Stud
it's
and
pretty funny. Well, one of my favorite memories ever was on a Last of the Breed tour, and Merle had wanted to quit. This was the first big tour we did, and this was I can't remember when the first one went, but Merle wanted to quit. They put it together at the last minute. Willie can pick up the phone and book everywhere. So Merle was like going, okay, this is a great idea. We'll sell everywhere. We'll make millions. And he said, yeah, sure we will. We'll do it. Okay. So Ray walks on the bus and says, who wants to work? And we all go raise our hands, and he tells us what's up. And I'm sitting there and I go, well, who's going to open? And Ray got this big smile on his face, and I went, oh no. And he goes, yep, we're going to. And I went, oh wow. Because Ray brings it. So after day 3 of this tour, Merle wanted to quit. So we're all happy, and things are going great. Crowds are nuts, And then all of a sudden, Willie comes walking on the bus, and he goes, hey, we need to go talk. So they leave the bus. And they walk over to Merle's bus, and we're all going, what's up? And about 4 hours later, Ray walks back on. He goes, tour's back on. And we said, what was up? He said, well, Merle's ready to go home. He's ready to quit. And I said, no wonder. And he said, yep, I may have to back off a little.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there, and I hung out with Merle's band a lot because we had played with them over the years, and Scott Josh, his fiddle player, guitar player, is a friend of mine. And so I'm hanging out, eating lunch with them a lot. So I hang out with my guys all the time. So I'm hanging out, and right across from me is an empty chair. And we're eating lunch, and Merle has not made an appearance yet at lunch. And so Merle's sitting there, and he walks in, and he looks around, and I went, Merle's going to eat lunch. All right, finally, he's going to be sociable. This is cool. Because, I mean, he's one of the greatest songwriters ever.
Yeah, he's great.
He's written, and he's a great guitar fill player. He's a good musician. Just was a great musician, right? So I'm sitting there, and there's one chair empty right across from me, and I'm thinking, no way. Am I getting ready to have lunch with Merle Haggard? Holy cow. All right, well, maybe so. And then I'm getting worried. I'm thinking, he's not been in a good mood. And I'm like going, okay. So he fills his plate up, and he's got his slouch hat on, and he's walking over, and he sits down right across from me. And I'm like going, okay. And he's staring at me, and he goes, son, I love that fiddle section. By the way, Merle's also a good fiddle player, and he loves to play fiddle more than anything. Walk on his bus. The first time I walked on his bus, he was sitting there playing fiddle.
Huh.
And Ida Red, and I'm just dying laughing. So I had no idea, really. I mean, I knew he played, but I'd never seen him play. So anyway, he sits there and he goes, love that fiddle section. It's just beautiful. Just beautiful, everything about it. And then he's staring at it and he goes, but your boss is kicking my ass. And I went, well, you asked us to open. And he goes, last time I ever do that.
Some good... Yeah.
That's awesome, though. I mean, he's talking about those three names, too.
And, my gosh. And then we just proceeded to have a really great lunch with Merle Haggard, and we talked a lot about violins. He wanted to know about my violin, my fiddle. He's a big fan of great instruments. Talked some guitars. He always had great instruments. Was real curious about my fiddle because it was Italian fiddle and an old one. And so that's probably one of my favorite moments. My favorite musical moment was we played Also Sprach Zarathustra at TMEA. We were requested to play at North Texas University Orchestra. It was better than the Dallas Symphony at the time, and I know because I'd heard the Dallas Symphony. I knew people had come to our concerts, and two people who attended Dallas Symphony came up with my mom one time, and they came up backstage afterwards, and they said, Rob, y'all are better than the DSO. And I said, I know we're good. And she said, no, y'all are really good. Well, everybody knew it, so we went down and they requested us. Somebody had heard us do Also Sprach. So we did Also Sprach Zarathustra, Strauss, which starts bum, bum, bum.
Right. Yeah, classic.
And it brought down the house, standing ovation at TMEA. They wouldn't let us leave the stage. And Bruce Slav, in his book, wrote that it was one of his favorite performances. All of us had thought about it over the years. And then when I saw it in his book, I went, yeah, it was.
Well, yeah, you can think about it.
That and probably the Fat Stock Show when we did it with Ray, because that was the first time I realized how big he was. Because...
And and you probably in your own head, think about it, you've made it.
I was going, I had respect. I knew I was not going to screw the gig up because I knew some other people who'd been asked to do it and they didn't last long.
Yeah.
So I knew how they
was
played.
Kind of one of your grand stage entry moments.
It helped. Oh my gosh. And Buddy Emmons was playing. Jimmy Capps was playing guitar. It was like a Hall of Fame crew.
Surreal moment, I'm sure, for you.
Yeah, it was really fun. They couldn't even get out. I mean, Blondie said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, the best singer in the business. And then the crowd was so loud you couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
And it was full. And we just killed it.
That's awesome.
And it was, everybody respected the show. And, I mean, you just didn't want to play nothing less than a perfect show.
Right. You better go on to your next question because he's going to keep his
memory.
His favorite moments are going to keep getting longer.
Our Easter feast. Let's just dive into
Easter
it.
Feast.
Our
Yes.
Easter feast. Then let's go, because I'm sure we're all traditional.
I'm traditional.
Traditional?
Ham.
Old school.
Old school.
Got
man.
some ham?
Ham, deviled eggs. How many deviled eggs did you eat?
I still have a couple left in the fridge.
Okay.
We've made 14 of them for two people. Well,
okay.
So 14 eggs. So you split those in half. So that's a lot of deviled eggs.
That's a lot of
deviled eggs.
So 28 essentially.
That's like a half a thing of paprika too, right?
I told her you gotta get that paprika on the base. Got to get the paprika on the top.
You gotta get them on.
So you have ham. What else you eat?
Yeah.
We have ham. We have all the traditional fixings that go along with that. Our Easter feast is kind of an all-day Easter feast.
Oh,
nice.
So you have kind of turned into Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, it's kind of a thing.
You eat early at about noon.
Oh yeah, we eat all
Maybe
day.
have a little round two about 4 or 5 or whenever it comes.
But my sons are big beef eaters, so we had some nice prime rib as well.
Oh wow, ham and prime rib.
Yes.
All right, Rob, what about you? What'd you have?
Well, we do traditional usually, ham, turkey. Somebody in our family, though, happens to be of Hispanic descent.
Okay.
So we get enchiladas, homemade, and it's great.
Nice.
Sometimes turkey enchiladas.
Nice.
And it's great. So I like Mexican traditional Thanksgiving.
Gotcha. So that's what they got to have for
yeah.
Easter.
So we
That's
have
what
a
they're
little.
gonna do for
Yeah,
Easter.
it's a mix. It's great.
Gotcha. Yeah, the reason I bring this up because I was smelling it last week, and you do see it a lot more. People are starting to grill out a lot more, as in they're hot dogs or they're doing hot hamburgers. And I'm guessing it's easier.
Right.
I guess it's easier than doing ham because ham takes some effort, especially if you're getting a real ham. It does cost more money. Let's be real.
Right.
A ham versus burgers and hot dogs. You get my point?
Yeah.
You got ham. I got green beans. I did mashed potatoes. I mean, I'm putting some effort in.
Okay.
I did all this. I'd made some green beans. When I make my green beans from the South, I learned. You put a little grease in there from the bacon that I cooked last week. Yeah. If you're going to make your green beans right, you throw some grease in there. It tastes.
Yeah, but you didn't do a green bean casserole, right?
No, I just did green
good.
beans.
Oh, thank you.
I hire
just
out to
green beans.
Tom Thumb.
Yeah, right there. Mashed potatoes, I mashed them.
Okay. I have a question for you then,
What's
Josh.
that?
So green beans, do you have to put the crunchy stuff on top, or do you leave it off?
Well, that's what I was just saying. The green bean casserole, man. That thing will
Not
never.
just green beans.
Yeah, just
green
Okay,
beans. I
thank
cut up
you.
a little bit of
Yeah.
onion in there,
Yeah,
and then
right?
the top it off. I'm telling you right now, I learned from my dad. I was like, why do his beans always taste so good? Black-eyed pea. All of his beans tasted or peas taste only one pea really. Grease, baby. And we had this
Grease is
huge,
good.
because we cook bacon a lot. Who doesn't when you're growing up? Who doesn't anyway? But we would keep the grease in this silver little metal thing, and it was just full of grease.
That's right.
Or in a coffee can. A lot of people would do the old coffee
I'd
mug.
forgotten about that.
Maxwell's
Oh my
or whatever.
God. That's correct.
And oh man, eat big old scoop of that right in there.
Good.
Oh my God. You're talking about heaven. So I did mashed potatoes. I did 3 different cheeses I got to make our own. We do our own homemade mac and cheese. Get noodles. We boil the noodles.
So you went all out.
We go all out.
You went all
we
out.
cook.
Good for you,
I
man.
cook. I love to cook. It is just, even Avery, she's gotten into cooking. It does relieve a little stress.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh, gosh, I don't think I have a favorite yet. It's a good question. Yeah. That is a good question because I love
Cooking is fun. I like to cook too.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't have a favorite. I just love cooking because some people love grilling out. I do like grilling out, but I know you're thinking I just don't like the smoke. I get all smoky.
Yeah, you do.
I gotta be in the grilling mood because I get all pretty or whatever.
Oh
I'm like,
my gosh.
man, I'm gonna go. I already showered. I don't get all smoky.
Oh my goodness.
I gotta shower after.
Where's my violin? I need
yeah,
to
get
start
your fiddle,
playing.
man. Okay.
Hey, I don't care. That's me. That's just how I am. I hate it. I hate it that I got to be a little pretty boy about it. But I'll grill. I grill. That's what's so funny. Speaking of which, and why I didn't have, and that's why I bring this up. Saturday, we threw her 10th birthday was before that. I call her our daughter, but our Great Dane was our first girl together, our first dog together. Actually, me and my wife been together for over 10 years.
Okay.
Got married last year.
Congratulations.
Finally, thank you. Finally got married last year. We've been together for 10 years. Our daughter, as we call her, we got her literally 10 years ago this June. So she was born in April. So she turned 10. Our Great Dane. So
That's a long life for a Great Dane.
it is.
Right
Well,
there,
she's
man.
doing great. Should hopefully, like my brothers lived to 13. You treat them well. It's like anybody, and we try to tell it. Like when you hear that, I hate when people are like, "Oh, they're short. Their life's short." I'm like, no, it's like a human.
them well.
You can live to 40 or 52 if you eat McDonald's every day and drink booze or
Right,
whatever.
got it,
Or you
right.
pretty much you go eat. Anyway, I'm not going to name dog food, but you get my point. You go eat that all day long, and you're probably not going to live that long. Probably not. Or if you have we have a human. Because here's why my Great Dane that did end up dying at 9, which he was diagnosed at 7.5. I got a year and a half out of him at 7.5, which you may see the commercials, which I see him all the time now. It's for elderly people. It's called AFib, atrial fibrillation.
Right.
He got that. It's a human. Anyone can get that.
Right,
He couldn't help that he got AFib, so then I have to give him medication. So then I'm having to give him fluids in his back because he's not getting enough water. So then he got liver, then heart disease. You get my point. So and then failure. That's why you get my point. And that can happen to any human. It's not like anyway. So point to back. We had a birthday party. Point being for all our dogs because we have 12 dogs.
12 dogs.
We have
dude.
12.
Look at Rob.
Yeah. So 2 of them.
Any of them musicians?
Yes, actually. They go, oh!
Nice.
2 of them have the same birthday. We're going through paperwork last year. I was like, let's put all their birthdays in our calendar so we can actually celebrate. We might as well start celebrating their dang. Anyway, so they
Boy, getting them ready for Sunday school must be a chore.
Oh, yeah. Avery loves it. Avery loves dressing them. So we threw a birthday party. I grilled out. I had hamburgers. I did the hot dogs. So I had kind of both already last
You had it
weekend.
going.
So I grilled out. I wasn't worried. I was, because we had people over, so don't worry. I was prettied up and grilling out, guys. Don't worry. I suffered through it. Anyway, but grilled out. But I just see that because my point being, and I smelt it on Sunday. I was out and about. All these grills, I just smelt it everywhere. I'm like, man, people are taking the easy. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, hey, you get my point. I understand if you have a big family, it's much easier to get some dogs or some hot dogs or some burgers on the grill.
Right.
But man, it's the deviled eggs, the ham.
You better eat those deviled eggs up, man. They don't.
Today
last-
I'm finishing them off.
Yeah, they don't last too long.
I'm sure my stomach will be paying for that later
Sports.
tomorrow. So, got to get in some NBA playoffs.
Yes.
Here's why we're going to also dive into this, because we have a pick that we're going with an upset this year.
Okay.
We're not going with the Warriors. We're thinking they're going to get upset this year.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
Because this year they are having a little bit of a down year. Let's admit they're not top notch when it's.
They have a tough series coming up.
And here's why we went with Denver. And now Denver.
Klay Thompson.
Yeah, there you go. There's some guys on the team I don't even like anyway. I don't like how KD went there. He pretty much says, "Hey, let me win championships."
Yeah, right.
I don't like Donkey, Draymond Green really that much.
Yeah,
he's just
a
a
thug.
poor sport.
Yeah, he's a dud.
I agree.
Dud.
So, anyhow, we were going with the Denver Nuggets. We were like, let's go with them in the semifinals. You know, them to play or Western Conference Finals, I guess I should say. But now they're in the only Game 7 in the first round.
Right.
There's one Game 7, and it's these guys.
Yeah.
Not too bad, though. The Warriors are in Game 6, so it's not like they've just swept the Clippers. They are in Game 6.
They're having to work.
Which is tonight, by the way. Game 6 is tonight. Game 7 is tomorrow night for our Nuggets, and they better be, or then there goes our freaking...
Dallas Roughnecks are tomorrow night, too. You can check them out, AUDO.
There we go. Nice little shout-out.
Yeah, no, New York Empire is the one you should watch on American Ultimate Disc League this weekend.
There you go.
New York Empire, watch
There you go. So, but yeah.
Yeah, Denver, okay.
So we're going with Denver. And on the other side, which they did sweep them right on out, we went with the Milwaukee Bucks. Which that's anyone can pick them, obviously, but we're going with them all the way. Okay. We're going with them over the Denver Nuggets.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that was because we want someone other than the Warriors. I think some of that
it'd be nice.
Was,
yeah, it'd be nice.
I think obviously if I'm using my brain more than anything, it's probably 50-50.
Why do you think the Bucks?
I'm talking about the Nuggets though. I was thinking the Nuggets. The Warriors most likely are going to be there. Honestly. Probably, I would like them to not be, but
I'm with you.
Their probability is just higher than anyway.
It's not just that they're like a great musician. They can turn it on and off every now and then.
Yep, definitely. And so they can easily win a series. And there's not really that much competition in the West, in my opinion, until they get to so Eastern Conference
until the Mavericks get it together.
There we go. But Bucks, I think the Bucks because they have the best player in the league now.
Yes, they do.
They do.
The Greek.
Freak.
The Greek freak, man.
Yeah, like what? He is a freak, though. He really is. And then you see a lot of that nowadays. Guys that are 6'7", 8'9", that can just run up and down the floor. Back in the day, that guy was a center. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he runs like he's a 6'3" guy.
That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't see that back in the day. Even like when Shaq started doing it at 7'1", when he could move up and down, you were like, how is this happening? But now you're seeing like LeBrons of the world. A lot of people that are 6, 7, 8, 9, that, like I said, back in the day probably would have been a power forward or a center that would just be lugging around. Maybe could run the floor well. But yeah, like you said, they're running up and down the court like a point guard.
We're having the same experience in Ultimate, which is pretty cool. We're getting tall guys who can move really fast.
Freakishly fast.
Who are very coordinated.
Like Usain Bolt. We're just talking about me and my group texting my guys the other day, and a lot of it is because he is so long, but that's why they're so fast, because they take... Most people have to take X amount of steps. Like the average in the 100-meter was like 44. The average person takes 44 steps, or the average Olympian. He takes 40.
Wow.
Interesting.
So you get my point. Why their long stride. I remember a guy used to play for the Razorbacks, Matt Jones. He was a quarterback. Same type thing. We were like, how is this white guy out? What, you remember him?
That's a flash from the... Why I remember that name, I don't know. But
he was just a white guy that could out... He was 6'5", 6'6", and you'd see these DBs from all around the SEC try to chase him and take these poor angles, and... Yeah, Matt would just be like, and we were like, oh my, and he did run like a 4.37, so it wasn't like, but he's fast. Those long strides, if you learn how to use them properly.
Yeah.
Wow, and like you said, that's crazy that Ultimate Frisbee's now experiencing.
Oh yeah,
that.
it's fun to watch.
It's good. It really is. I mean, to see players like that. As much as I dislike LeBron, it's just crazy to see. I mean, like Russell.
Yeah, but here's the but LeBron, he thugs his way down the lane. He's not a dude. He's not smooth.
He takes 4 steps after he picks up the ball. I'm just saying it's just cool to see these guys where back in the day they would have been power forwards or something. It's like, wow, how do they move like that? How are they? I can't even hardly move like that. Or even Russell Westbrook at his size, which the league is different. I will say this. It was totally different. No way he'd get close to averaging a triple-double back in the day, but because of there's no way he'd get rebounds. But to see him get the rebounds he gets and to be physical at that size and jump up and to leap and crazy athletic.
Well, LeBron, if he'd gone to college, would have been a smoother player because he would have actually gotten some coaching.
And if you, especially like you should have, went to a good.
And they would have said, you don't need to clear the guy out of the way to get to the hoops. Just use your speed.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Or just your technical skill, which he hasn't really ever developed.
No.
He just kind of uses his size. Like, hey, that's what I always said. I was like, and we've had this talk. Because my favorite ever is obviously I have 3 pairs sitting here. Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Imagine if imagine Michael Jordan was 6'9", 270, 260. His numbers would be ridiculous. Are you kidding me? If Michael Jordan was 6'8", 260 instead of 6'6", 220, 250, he was only 215.
I think this though, Michael, because that's So Michael, if you didn't see him play live, if you don't, and bless NBA players, everybody needs to go see the NBA players play because they're just amazing live. It's just so fast.
Because that too in the NBA, you're a lot closer. So especially when you can sit close, you're just like whoa.
Michael went wherever he wanted to go, whenever he wanted to go, and he did it just so quick and so smooth. LeBron lumbers everybody. That's why Michael was great. He knew he was the 10th guy on the court and that he could control that whole universe smoothly.
Oh, yeah. I think it comes back to literally his logo, his jump man, as in he just sailed.
It's true.
You get my point. It's just kind of, that's him. He could glide through the air like Clyde the Glide back in the day. Those guys that could just smooth their way through
Although
the
I'm
air.
a kid, I was a Dr. J fan.
Or even Dr. J, even the original one that could glide
Huge Dr.
through the
J
air.
fan.
I mean, are you kidding me? The up and under, are you kidding me?
Changed the game.
Big time. So round 2, though, Eastern Conference semis, there's already obviously, we have a lot of teams just moving on. We got Bucks versus Celtics. That'll be a pretty good one.
Ooh.
That'll be a good one to keep an eye on. Bucks will definitely, I think, finally lose their first game, but it will be interesting to see if they do sweep them. I mean, I doubt they do. I'm sure in the
series.
Yeah. We also have 76ers versus Raptors, another pretty good one. Thinking the Raptors may, though, 76ers have some talent, younger talent, but the Raptors may move on faster than the Bucks do. We'll see, though. Right. Western Conference semis, we got the Rockets waiting the Warriors-Clippers winner, and then
Houston
Trailblazers.
let me down, man.
Who?
Houston's let me down.
They're well, hey, is that who your team is?
I'm pulling for them.
Mostly anything from Dallas, though, right?
Yeah, I'm a Houston fan, more so than San Antonio because, well, I mean, San Antonio and Dallas, I can't really pull for San Antonio. So, although I love Pop.
Yeah, he's a great coach. One of the great, definitely stud, super stud.
I'm a closet San Antonio fan.
It's all right. Hey, that's all right. They win the right way.
Exactly. That's why I like them.
All right, Marvel's Avengers. Doc, I'm gonna let.
I know it. We'll get something set up.
I'm seeing it Sunday. So I want an answer by.
Wait. Back to Boston and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I think they're going to beat themselves up so much that might
could help
nullify your prediction.
And that's what I just was thinking about, and already was thinking about. And if I would have looked into the who was playing the matchups a little bit further, I would have said, hey, if the Nuggets get roughed around in that first round, which they are, and they easily could do so, which you get my point. If I would have looked and see who they were playing, the Spurs. Hello.
Right.
Yeah.
Pop's not going to go down easy.
Right. Right.
Then on the other side, let's see who the Bucks play. Unfortunately, in the second round.
Right.
I still like the Bucks all the way over the Raptors. I think it does hurt them. It just depends on how long they get extended there.
Right.
But the Raptors are good. I mean, they easily.
That's true.
I don't think it's going to be. It could be the Celtics. But I think it's going to be down to the Raptors and it's the Bucks. But
great playoffs this year.
It is. And that's what I was telling Doc before last week or 2 weeks ago whenever we were talking about it. I remember thereafter, and I loved watching, obviously, basketball in the 90s had a lot of great teams. Okay. It was fully depth. Okay. Even obviously in the 80s, and then certainly when I'm watching the 90s. But in the early 2000s, you could see, we saw teams after the 4 seed. I remember literally 6th and 7th and 8th seeds were literally like 30 and 52 or whatever. They were like 10, 15 games below 500.
Right.
The 8th seed in the West this year, 14 games over 500.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, wow.
So
much better.
There was a time period that I could not watch the NBA for about 10, 12, 15 years.
Yeah,
after
you had
Jordan,
to wait.
Because there was, it was 4. You knew 4 teams were going to be there most likely. Right? Was that
you waited for LA and Boston.
LA or Spurs, or Spurs there for a while, or was it the
right.
Spurs every year with Duncan and
that was Barkley's big beef. He used to say the product was horrible.
Yes, it was.
He's true. Boy, he's what a smart dude he is.
Yeah.
And it's funny, people want to make fun of him. I've always thought he is very, very good, good analyst. Right. I mean, and hilarious. So you got to have him on.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible.
Yeah, watching him with Auburn this year was hilarious.
Oh, that was. Are you kidding? It's classic television.
Yeah.
So you come up with a date by Sunday. Back to the Avengers. Yes,
Avengers,
I'm seeing it twice.
All right.
I'm already.
Is it good?
Well, I've seen them all. Well, not all of them. I haven't seen probably out of the 20 plus, like 20 to 22 that have come out in the 10-year span that they've have done from Iron Man to the Captain Americas. Exactly. I've seen almost all but 2 or 3. Saw Infinity War that led into this one last year. Just saw Captain Marvel that came out in March. So I've seen everything that's led up to this, certainly. So I'm looking forward to it. Even though it is 3 hours like on the dot, it is 3 hours, Doc.
It's a 3 hour.
3. Okay.
3 hours?
Let me tell you.
You want me to block out 3 hours?
Have you seen the Titanic before?
It's longer than Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
Yeah, right. There are some movies I guarantee you.
Kidding, right?
If I named them right now, you've seen them, and they're just around that same length. You're like, wow, really? It's when a movie is good, you don't realize the runtime. Yeah, you're in there and you're 2 hours. You're like, this. You get my point. You're
better be good.
There are some movies that are 2+ hours long where I'm like, get this over now. Or what is going? I'm already looking at my phone.
No, man. Listen to Bruce Springsteen concerts is legit 3 hours, and it's worth it.
Well, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. But there's shows like a movie you'll go to. You're just like, that's. You get my point.
Right.
Where you are like, why am I in this movie still? What is going on? This is the worst plot ever. You could have left that out, and you get my. And I'd have been out of here by now.
Right.
But yes. Oh, I'm seeing one of the greats of all time in a Beatle this summer, and Paul McCartney, and I heard he puts on a 3-hour show.
He does. He's great.
I cannot wait for a 3-hour Paul McCartney
I went and saw
show.
him when he went back out on tour. I have to admit, and his band is great.
Yeah. So see, I do, and I'm Globe Life Park. Avery has no idea. She doesn't listen to these. We have floor seats, so she has no idea. I always surprise her with where our seats are. we're on the like 30th row or something. Oh, dude, I am like stoked to see Paul.
His
McCartney.
drummer actually is really great. He's great.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
get...
it's 3 hour show. I'm totally down. Yeah, if it's worth it. But yeah, you know what I mean. When you're in there and it's like you're an hour and a half in and you're like, get me out of here. There's an hour and a half left. You kidding me? But Avengers, it's gonna go by so fast. There's so many good. There's 100 people in it. I was watching like the red carpet for there's so many people in Avengers because of all the movies they've done.
Right.
So anyway, you come up with a day. I'm
All
gonna be
right,
texting you Sunday after I get out of my 3 hour
right.
movie. Say, dude, it's worth. The seats are the button recline.
Ooh.
You got your own tables here.
Ooh, popcorn.
And you got anything you need.
Okay.
Headphones and a keyboard for
Yeah,
Bob.
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
I got
Yeah,
headphones.
Bob will be
All
in there putting a little tune together for me. He'll be doing his own.
Yeah, I can do that.
His own
music scoring.
Exactly, his own music score to the movie. I'm like, dude, that was terrible. Listen to my score. Listen to what I put together. So yes, you come up with the name.
All right.
Or come up with the name. Come up with the date.
All right.
We'll get to it. NFL draft. Got to get to that as well.
Yes.
Kyler Murray, number 1 overall.
Oh man.
Go ahead. Give me your thoughts because that's a big
Just
I mean, straight out of a.
boy, what a gamble.
Yeah.
But he's just so talented. I mean, the guy can throw with this 40 yards.
Because he's a baseball player.
I know. But he's not going to play baseball, so he says.
Exactly, that's what Doc Swiss should do. And even me, if you have, that's the thing. People don't want to put speaking even anything anymore. They don't want to put the time into 3 to 5 years, 2 years,
right,
to get that massive Mike Trout. And not that he'd get that, but even a 200 million. And guess what? That's all guaranteed.
85 games plus preseason.
Exactly. It is what it is, and knowing that, and that's what another thing we brought up, knowing that, and he was going that he knew that he was going to get the number 1 overall pick. That certainly is. That's what enticed it.
It's the big,
all the last
now.
the last 6 months to a year has just been go to Oklahoma, wins the Heisman,
Right.
limelight.
Right.
It's football.
Right.
Then he goes and then now right after that saying, should I not play NFL? And then he's asking all these people in the back, getting word from his, you're gonna be the overall number 1 pick. So that's when he comes. I'm going to the draft because I know I'm going to be
right.
Cliff Kingsbury at Arizona. Yeah, what he's done with those certain quarterbacks he's had.
Right.
Baker Mayfield till he transferred. He had Patrick. You get my point. The names
It's going to be very
Cliff,
interesting.
Yeah, Cliff knows how. I'm assuming.
Great with quarterbacks, terrible teams.
Yeah, well, the D lines and the offensive lines are so much taller in the NFL.
Yep.
So I think Cliff's going to find him space to throw through in the line. He's going to have to. They're going to have to do some trick stuff just so he can throw down the middle of the field.
Same size as Russell Wilson, which I told Doc that too when it came out.
But they got some great. I mean, they got.
And here's
some,
the other thing: where does Russell Wilson play?
Seattle.
And what is Seattle? Who are they coached by?
Pete.
Yeah.
Okay, so my point being, Arizona Cardinals or Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh, okay.
You get what I'm saying? What if Seattle? I know they hadn't really done too much before Russell had gotten there, but you look at what teams. You see what I'm saying?
Right. I get
Arizona, not so great of a place to be landing.
Right.
Pete Carroll, Arizona. I'm taking Pete Carroll in Seattle. I'm taking that situation with that defense any day of the week. Not that was even that fully developed when Russell Wilson was there, but I'm taking that situation, my point being, over Arizona Cardinals, where they've been over the last 3. They are in the hole of holes. It is no longer the Cleveland Browns of the laughingstock of the NFL. It is most likely them or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Arizona, it's kind of transferred over. Cleveland's now moving up.
Yeah, because Mayfield looks like the real deal.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
which he's probably one of the 2 or 3 quarterbacks of the last decade plus that has proved me wrong.
Right.
And it is in his first season. You get my point. So let's give it some more time.
I agree.
But true, very much so, especially at the Browns. You get my point. It'd be one thing if he was at not the Denver, even the Cowboys, somewhere that was somewhat established. They had a running game. He went to the Browns that really were
questionable personnel.
Are you kidding me?
All the way around.
I thought it was done. I'm like, there goes his career. Boy, did he prove a lot of people wrong.
I didn't think he would survive the season, but he did.
Yeah, he did. And so, is there a chance for Kyler to be successful? Certainly. We've seen the path behind, but that path is saying like a needle in a haystack. How many of the Russell Wilsons have there been?
What is his injury?
We're speaking of how many Russell Wilsons?
Has he ever been hurt?
No.
That's it.
I just don't. I think it's very risky, like you said, Rob. I think it's very risky, and I think that he's a great athlete, great speed, but man, defense has great speed today. They're big boys that can move and run.
He needs to learn to take those hits or get out of bounds and get down when he needs to.
He's never faced a pro defense with that speed, the speed they have.
Oh yeah.
I always tell the story. I remember when RG3 went to the pros, and I remember one of the very first games he played. He took the snap from center, started to run down the off behind his offensive line, and the next thing he knew, he was getting up, and he was the look on his face. He was stunned
Yep.
because he got tackled from behind,
Yes.
from a defensive lineman,
Yeah.
and he was going like, "Where did
What?
that guy
Yeah.
come from?"
Yep.
It's not just that. Think about, guys in college who are running pretty quick. They're running quick. There's a difference in the blow you deliver when you're running 4.7 and 5.2.
Oh yeah.
When you're running 5.2, it's a pretty good lick. When you're running 4.7,
It's like crash. It's like wrecks. You know what I mean? The faster you're going, those wrecks are that much more. So, Kyler Murray, I think we all agree, suspect. Certainly to me, a dud pick. I don't think he's worth overall a number 1 pick. We'll get into that too in a minute. But I think we're all aboard here. Yeah. Time will only tell, so we'll give it that. And now we'll get into, certainly here in a minute, this in the Stutter Dud segment, I'm going to go into the overall draft itself. Just briefly, can fly through some of these things because we've been going on forever. I don't want this podcast to be 3 hours long.
Right.
Exactly.
Anywho, I think the draft overall was a dud. I think last night was a draft we'll look back on going, wow, that was not a really good draft. That was really low in talent. Anywho, here's something that happened last night. Remember last week I brought up one of the first times ever it's happened in NFL history. Josh Allen will be picked, and he did get picked. Josh Allen last year, quarterback. Josh Allen this year, first time in NFL history, draft history, that a person with the same name was drafted in the top 10.
Wow.
Now another history was made last night. Trivia.
Like
first time ever 2 tight ends were drafted by the same team in the first round of the NFL draft.
Oh, wow.
The Iowa Hawkeyes had 2 tight ends drafted, one in the top 10, and then my Broncos were the first team to trade back. They were at 10. They traded back to 20. Well, a guy that I kind of wanted the Broncos to take, Devin Bush, a linebacker, they kind of need help at the inside linebacker spot. Well, they traded back, so they didn't take them. Steelers trade up and take him. Well, at the 20th pick, the Broncos take Noah, what's his name here? I forgot his name already. Well, I cannot. Oh, yeah, there it is, Noah Fant. So, yeah, Noah Fant. I forgot the other guy should have wrote it down.
Noah Fant plays at Iowa?
Iowa. So 2 tight ends from the same school got drafted in the first round for the first time ever. Because, how many times is a tight end getting drafted in the first round, let alone 2 of them, let alone 2 from the same school, obviously. Which was
9-man football.
Cowboys
stuff.
didn't have, just to touch on the Dallas area, no first-round draft pick. So they come today, second-round picks up today. So they have their first pick
Need
today.
a safety.
And that's what we're going to touch into next week for sure. We'll overall the draft. We'll see where people land, what your Cowboys need, what my Bronco, what we see if they touch the areas they need to touch on. Because I think there's a couple areas that they both obviously certainly need to touch up.
Yeah, Case Keenum.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot. Now we got another old guy, freaking Flacco. That ought to work out well for a season again.
I wasn't going to bring him up.
Elway, you might as well get out and play, bro. Anyway, so to our coveted stud or dud segment.
Yes.
Okay.
John Havlicek passes away.
Yeah.
16, that's great light. Almost lived to 80. 16 seasons with the Celtics, winning 8 championships, so half of his career was championships. Bill Russell called him the best all-around player he's ever seen.
Didn't he score more than Bird?
What's that?
Doesn't he have more points scored?
Oh, I'm sure he has, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Well, and I did not know this. He was the 7th overall pick in the 62 draft out of Ohio State. Won an NCAA title there in 1960. 74 NBA Finals MVP, 13-time All-Star, and he's one of the 10 players in NBA history to at least make 8 All-NBA teams and 8 All-Defensive teams. Other names, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Kevin Garnett, Gary Payton, Chris Paul, and my man, the GOAT, Michael Jordan.
Well, yeah, it's pretty good company.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
That's a working man company. That's people who play defense. I love basketball players who work.
They don't do that anymore. That's the reason I hate playing or watching basketball, because they don't play.
Exactly right.
This is defense.
Yeah, I put my arm up, coach. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's all they kept yelling back in the day.
It was your right hand. It was your right hand. He was shooting right-handed. Oh, right. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll work on it.
So certainly all-time stud, Havlicek. No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Kyler Murray, kind of touched on this. We are not. Do you think he's really worth an overall number 1 pick? Say like in just an average draft. Like, say, the 2004 draft when Manning, Rivers, and Roethlisberger I know that's like one of the best ever, but all go in the first round. So do you think, my point being, is Kyler Murray really a number 1 over? I know, like I said, it's only what you have that year, but average, I'd say he's probably not, he's barely, to me, first-round talent.
I think he's a stud, but he's in the wrong sport.
Yeah, totally. I hate to say.
Because you're really a baseball guy.
Big-time baseball guy.
That's right. I'd love to see him play.
I think on a great year, he's barely first round. Like that year, 2004, he's not making the first round, obviously.
Right.
So I think on an average year, he's right around first round level, but he's not the overall first pick.
Not enough quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, there's not.
No, that's right. That's exactly right.
And that's why, and it seems like when you have that level of, that's when the draft is escalated. That's my point being why I said a second ago, this draft is more of a dud draft than a stud draft. Now, prove me wrong 5 years from now when I see these names that a lot of these guys I haven't heard of, like Noah Fant, essentially, a tight end out of.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think
that pizza's coming.
Pizza's coming.
But no, I think it's a stud draft. I mean, a dud draft. I don't think it was that great overall. Some of these names last night, which I was looking at it beforehand going like, who are these guys?
Yeah,
like,
right.
So that's what I think.
I agree. It was a boring draft for me.
Definitely was. My dad said he texted this morning. Me and Tommy were texting back and forth about what the Broncos went. Dad texted this morning, like, finally, whatever time. Guys, draft was super boring. Put me to sleep with a bunch of Z's.
Yeah.
And ABC's going, come on. Man.
Yeah, right?
We paid so much money for it this year.
Now we got to get to
Yes.
the chamber of questions.
To the chamber.
So are you ready, Rob?
I'm ready.
All right. So you've traveled the world. Favorite place you visited?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Beautiful.
Would like to go back and spend a couple weeks there.
Beautiful. Craziest food, since you've been all over the world, craziest food you've eaten?
Man, first trip to Japan. I sat there. The first meal they put in front of me, it had an octopus sitting there and a fish with an eyeball staring at me, and it was all on the plate. And I just was looking for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you know.
You didn't have that for
right?
You're not cooking that up for Easter, are you?
Out of all the places in the world you played, your favorite of all time?
Sydney Opera Hall.
There you go. Out of all the musicians you've...
No, take it back. The Ryman Auditorium in Nashville.
Oh, okay. All right. Out of all the musicians, who was the most fun?
Wow, Blondie Calderon.
There you go. All right. Most talented?
Wow. Buddy Emmons is so talented. Golly, man, there's some really good talented musicians. Jimmy Capps is probably one of the most talented musicians. He's played guitar on so many Nashville records, and I've heard him play guitar just beautifully over and over again. So he's unbelievably talented.
Who smoked the most? But I think we know that question.
Willie.
Favorite? Oh, no, let's see. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I already asked that. Okay, beer. And I had doing some of the questions that we've asked other guests now. Okay. So, beer or margarita with Mexican food?
When I drank, it was beer. And
Gotcha. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Favorite pie?
My mom used to make this really great caramel banana pie that was awesome.
Okay.
Wow.
Now
I've never
talking-
even heard of that.
Yeah,
I want that now.
Yeah, right.
All right. Candy or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Flavor.
Chocolate with something thrown in.
Oh, nice. Favorite movie of all time?
True Grit or
classic.
with the original True Grit with John Wayne or Shawshank Redemption.
Last one you've seen? Last movie you've seen?
Last movie I saw was a bad Netflix Bonnie and Clyde movie.
Oh, nice.
I don't watch a lot of those.
That's all right. Hey, yeah.
It was with I got sucked in because it was who was it? It's the guy from Cheers. Oh my gosh. Drawing a blank. It was Kevin Costner and Willie.
Dan.
It's Willie's friend. They live next door to each other in Hawaii.
Oh, Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, Woody.
I was like,
on
come
Netflix.
on, hello. And especially as soon as you said Willie's friend, I'm like, Woody.
And I don't watch a ton of movies, so
Gotcha.
hard to sit still.
I can understand totally. All-time favorite TV show. I mean, that's, especially as much as you travel. Some of these kind of may not be so much.
All-time favorite TV show. Wow.
And then go old school. We got an old school one last week we loved.
Hill Street Blues.
Okay.
Oh, you're going back a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. We got Andy Griffith show last week, so hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite band musician of all time? Not necessarily someone, you know what I mean, tourists. You're someone that you actually loved and listened
to.
to.
I love to watch play.
Yeah. Your favorite.
Oh, Dwayne Allman. I would like to have seen him play.
There we go.
live.
Very
Okay.
nice choice.
All right. Biggest musical influence?
David Oistrakh, probably, because when I was growing up, his recording of the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto was just immaculate and impeccable, and I recognized that there was real excellence to be found if you worked hard.
Yeah. One instrument you don't play you wish you could?
I'd like to be really good on a drum kit.
I almost was going to say drums. And Doc's liking it. All right. Favorite song of all time? Any genre, just favorite song. And I'm sure it's hard because there's probably a ton of songs you love.
Wichita Lineman.
Oh.
Nice.
Last meal. What are you eating? What 3 people you inviting? Dead or alive?
Mexican food, my dad. I'd have to invite my mom, except they don't get along. So.
That'll be a fun dinner. That'll be a fun
You
last
really
meal.
want that for your last meal?
Let's exclude family. I'd like to have Dave Taylor because I haven't seen him in so long. He passed away. He survived his double lung transplant. I'd like to have Dave there.
So Dave,
Dave Taylor, and I have a current best friend, Maria Falls, who I'd like to have lunch with her, but she travels a lot. So
all right, there you go. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
great. What?
Are we-
We're going to. Can we find you anywhere on social media?
Facebook.
There you go.
I'm on Facebook. And you'll see me probably throwing frisbees on Facebook.
Hey, that's good. Hey,
And you can always just stop by the Dallas School of Music.
Or
He's
Dallas
hanging
School
here,
of
teaching.
Music.
right here.
Come by, learn how to play some music. It's so much fun.
It is.
And come to a Dallas Roughnecks game. Go online, check out Dallas Roughnecks. We have a pro team. We play at John Paul II High School here in Plano. Come out and find me. I'll throw frisbee with you. If you don't know how to throw, I'll teach you how.
Boom.
Wow.
The flick will teach you how to flick.
Teach you how to throw a flick.
And right here, don't forget, I meant to mention earlier, our shoes from last week. Doc, we did our Final Four. He wanted me to bring them last week. I should have. Now I have them here. Here's the winner. This is the 11. This is all the way down to.
Okay.
But these are the Final Four. Now the colorways aren't really specific. These are just top shoes ever. And like I said, maybe with some more thought, there might be a different one in here. But I've got a lot of these. I've got probably 5 or 6 different pair of Jordan 11s. I've got about 5 or 6 different pair of Air Max 95s.
Okay.
I only have 2 pair of Yeezys, and then I probably got about 4 or 5 Air Jordan 4s.
I have some Air Jordan 1s.
They're nice, but they pale in comparison to the.
I've never
They pale in comparison to the Converse
Con-
Chuck Taylor Converse All
Yeah,
Stars.
somehow Doc couldn't find those though, so compared to the ghost over there that's not showing up today.
All right.
On next week's show, I promise we didn't get into it this week. We're going to next week. We'll do it and try to. You think about it now.
Okay.
Get Rudy ready for it as well. Biggest comeback ever, sport or not sport. Biggest comeback of all time. Because we were trying to do that last week. They were talking about Tiger when he won. Then we said, of course, the biggest comeback of all time. Well, we
Last
just
Sunday.
celebrated it. Jesus Christ, of course.
Right.
Bingo.
But yes, we got to exclude Jesus Christ. But other than Jesus,
Because he could come back again.
yeah, he's the guy. So,
If he wanted to.
So anyway, we're excluding the true goat.
Yeah.
Biggest comebacks of all time.
Wow, that's a
The
good
best.
question.
Yeah, so we'll do that next week. Definitely discussing Marvel's Avengers Endgame. I'll give a little tease about what happens, not too much, because I don't know if we've seen it by then.
Yeah.
Maybe we have.
So next week we have Rudy Jaramillo.
And then, that's what I'm saying.
that's
And we have
cool.
our 4th guest joining us, Rudy.
Oh my gosh.
Rudy.
Wow, that's really cool.
We should do like a little chant for him to come in for the show, and he comes jogging in. We'll have some cheerleaders.
Yes. One of
Big
the
bats
best.
around.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
One of the best hitting coaches, if not the best hitting coach ever.
All that and much more next week. And don't forget to subscribe. iTunes, guess what? Is now hot and rolling, baby. iHeartRadio is now on. So
fantastic.
You're on iHeartRadio?
Sweet.
Search for Stud and Dud. You're on iTunes? Search for Stud and Dud. You're going to find us. You're going to see the first 7 episodes. Episode 8 that we're doing right here, right now,
Yes.
be up on Monday.
Yeah.
Find it then.
Studandud.com.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us, please. We need some more followers.
Oh, yes.
We need some love.
We need some love.
We need some loving. And let us know what you think about this stud.
This stud right here.
Super stud, Rod
thanks for having
Flickinger.
me.
I mean, are you kidding me?
The flick.
The flick. The Amarillo Slim.
Amarillo Slim.
Are you
man.
kidding me? But yes, and then YouTube, we'll have I did upload them all last night. All the videos are on YouTube. So we have all 7 of these guys right here. Hey, what's up, guys?
Fantastic.
All up on YouTube.
Fantastic.
Have this one done. So we'll have the YouTube video and the episode up, both of them on Monday. Everything.
We're going to do
Video
a little
and
playing.
audio.
We're going to
We
do a
are.
little play. Are you going to show off some of your talent, man? Your lessons?
Yeah, so let's do that.
Okay.
So let's get on over here right now.
right,
Let's show
let's do
people
it.
what we've been working on.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's do it.